Welcome to Sleepy Science. Tonight, you are entering the most active place on Earth, a place that never truly rests. Rainforests cover very little land, yet they control rain, air, and life far beyond their borders. Trees here make clouds. Leaves talk without sound. Animals move through layers you never see. Some parts of these forests have existed for millions of years without being watched, measured, or named. Even now, they continue in darkness, building and breaking life at the same time. In this video, you will hear real facts about rainforests that feel quiet but carry weight. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is explained away. If you enjoy drifting into sleep while real mysteries unfold, subscribe to Sleepy Science and let the rainforest begin. Rainforests did not arrive with noise. There was no opening moment, no clear beginning. They formed slowly while the planet was still adjusting to itself. Long before humans learned how to name places, these forests were already growing. They did not wait to be noticed. They did not need permission to exist. At first there were only warm rains and simple plants. Water fell often. The ground stayed wet. Life learned that staying was possible. Small plants grew taller. Taller plants learned to hold water. Over a very long time, staying turned into layering. Layering turned into shelter. Shelter turned into complexity. The forest did not plan this. It simply kept responding. Millions of years passed without any record. Trees grew and fell. New trees replaced them. No one marked time. No one counted years. The forest had no memory of beginnings because it never paused long enough to look back. It was always in motion, even when nothing seemed to move. Rainforests existed before humans learned how to speak, before fire was controlled, before stories were passed down. When humans finally appeared, the forests were already complete, not finished but balanced. They did not react to human arrival. They did not change their rhythm. They continued as if nothing new had entered the world. Even the word rainforest is recent. The place itself is not. Names came late. Maps came later. For most of their life, these forests existed without language touching them. They were not destinations. They were not resources. They were just places where life kept choosing to remain. The earliest rainforests formed near the equator, where sunlight arrived evenly and water rarely stopped falling. Seasons did not swing wildly. Temperatures stayed steady. Life learned it could grow without fear of sudden change. This stability allowed experiments. Plants tried new shapes. Leaves spread wider. Roots grew deeper. Everything adjusted slowly. No single species ruled the forest. No single plant decided its future. Growth happened together. If one plant grew taller, another learned to climb. If shade increased, something learned to live in less light. The forest became a quiet conversation, not a competition. Rainforests were never empty. Even when large animals had not yet evolved, smaller life filled every space. Insects, fungi, moss, and tiny plants lived close together. The forest learned early that nothing goes unused. Every surface became a place to live. As time passed, trees grew taller than anywhere else on Earth. Not because they wanted to dominate, but because light slowly became harder to reach. Reaching higher was not ambition. It was survival. Each generation grew a little taller than the last, stretching upward without knowing why. While this was happening, the forest floor grew darker. Sunlight filtered down in broken pieces. Plants that lived below adapted. They learned to grow slowly. They learned patience. Some learned to live their entire lives without direct sun. This was not a problem. It was normal. The forest never tried to explain itself. It did not need to. There was no signal sent outward. No sign placed at the edge. Even today, standing at the border of a rainforest feels like standing near something that does not acknowledge you. The trees do not open. They do not greet. They simply remain where they have always been. For most of human history, rainforests stayed beyond reach. They were difficult to enter, dense, wet, loud with unknown sounds. People passed around stories instead of facts. The forest stayed unnamed, and that was enough. Even when humans walked inside, understanding did not follow. Early explorers saw trees and heat but not systems. They saw danger, not balance. The forest kept its complexity hidden in plain sight. Nothing obvious revealed how old it truly was. Rainforests survived shifts that erased other ecosystems. Ice ages came and went. Seas rose and fell. Continents drifted. The forests adapted quietly, shrinking in some places, expanding in others. They did not vanish. They adjusted. This long survival did not come from strength alone. It came from flexibility. Rainforests never depended on one path. If conditions changed, life rearranged itself. If one species disappeared, another filled the space. The forest did not collapse, it reshaped. There is something unsettling about a place that does not remember its own beginning. Rainforests feel ancient not because they are old, but because they never stopped. They do not carry a story of creation. They carry continuation. Even now, many parts of these forests have no clear history. No one knows exactly how long certain trees have stood. No one knows how many species appeared and vanished without record. The forest kept those moments to itself. Rainforests did not introduce themselves to science either. They were studied late. Even today, new species are found regularly. Life that has existed for thousands of years is only now being noticed. Discovery feels less like finding something new and more like arriving late. This creates a strange feeling. The forest does not feel ancient like ruins. Ruins point backward. Rainforests point nowhere. They are not reminders. They are ongoing processes. Standing inside one feels like standing inside time that never paused. Nothing in a rainforest feels like a beginning. Trails feel borrowed. Clearings feel temporary. Even fallen trees do not signal endings. They simply become something else. The forest does not mark events. It absorbs them. When humans finally gave the forest attention, the forest did not respond. It did not change its behavior. It did not become clearer. It did not explain itself. Knowledge came slowly, and only in fragments. The deeper you go into a rainforest, the less it feels like a place made for observers. It feels like a place that was already full before anyone arrived. Every movement seems to interrupt something ongoing. This is why rainforests feel mysterious without trying. They are not hiding secrets. They are simply too complete to pause and explain. They do not need witnesses. They never did. As you think about rainforests now, remember this. They did not begin for us. They did not grow toward us. They did not wait for language, maps, or curiosity. They existed fully long before any of that arrived. And while you listen, somewhere on Earth, rain is falling inside a forest that never introduced itself. Rain in a rainforest does not always come from far away. Sometimes it rises from the ground itself. The forest does not wait for clouds to arrive. It builds them slowly, piece by piece, using its own body. Each tree pulls water up from deep soil. Roots drink steadily, even when nothing seems dry. That water moves upward through the trunk, higher and higher until it reaches the leaves. There it does not stay. It leaves again quietly as vapor. This happens all day, every day, even when the sky looks clear. This process is simple, but the result is not. Billions of leaves release moisture at the same time. The air above the forest thickens. Warmth lifts that moisture higher. Tiny drops gather. Clouds begin to form, not far away but directly overhead. The forest builds its own ceiling. This means rainforests are not just places where rain falls. They are places where rain is made. The weather is not only passing through, it is being created from within. The forest becomes both the cause and the result. When rain finally falls, it does not feel sudden. It feels expected. The air had been preparing. The leaves had been releasing water for hours. The clouds simply finished the process. The forest receives what it already sent out. This cycle repeats constantly. Even during dry periods, trees continue releasing moisture. Even when rain stops briefly, the forest keeps working. It does not panic. It does not change pace. It trusts the loop it built over millions of years. What makes this unsettling is the scale. One tree does very little, but millions together shift entire weather patterns. Large rainforests can affect rainfall hundreds of miles away. Water released here can fall somewhere else. The forest reaches beyond its borders without moving. In some regions, removing large parts of rainforest changes the sky itself. Clouds form less often. Rain patterns shift. Rivers shrink. This shows something important. The forest was not responding to weather. It was shaping it. The idea of a place controlling its own rain feels strange. We often think of land as passive. Rain falls, plants react, but rainforests reverse this order. Plants act first. Rain follows later. Even the timing of rain can be influenced. During the day, sunlight warms leaves. Transpiration increases. Clouds build. Afternoon rain becomes common. This pattern repeats so often it feels natural, but it is carefully maintained by living systems. The forest does not store rain for later. It cycles it continuously. Water enters. Water leaves. Nothing is held too tightly. This constant movement keeps temperatures stable. It cools the air. It softens extremes. The forest becomes its own climate. Standing inside a rainforest during rainfall feels different. Drops hit leaves before the ground. Sound spreads slowly. Water travels through layers, not straight down. By the time it reaches the soil, it has already touched dozens of surfaces. Some rain never reaches the ground at all. It evaporates again mid-fall. It returns to the air. The cycle does not mind repetition. It does not seek completion. At night, transpiration slows, but it does not stop. The forest continues breathing out water even while most creatures rest. Clouds thin, but the air stays heavy. Moisture lingers, waiting for warmth to lift it again. This constant exchange blurs the line between land and sky. In rainforests, the sky feels close. Low clouds drift between trees. Mist settles among branches. Sometimes it is hard to tell where the forest ends and the air begins. The forest does not experience weather as an event. There is no surprise. Rain is not a change. It is a continuation. Storms may pass through, but the daily rhythm remains. This self-made rain allowed rainforests to grow dense and tall. Water was reliable. Life could invest in height, width, complexity. Risk stayed low. Growth stayed steady. Over time, this created the thick green walls people recognize today. Rainforests also recycle nutrients through rain. Water washes minerals from leaves and bark. It carries them back to the soil. Roots absorb them again. Nothing drifts far. Everything stays connected. This closed loop makes the forest feel self-contained. It does not rely heavily on outside systems. It creates, uses, and renews its own resources. This independence is rare on Earth. When you think about rain falling in a rainforest, imagine it starting hours earlier inside leaves you cannot see. Imagine water lifting itself, forming a sky from the ground up. Imagine clouds as part of the forest, not visitors. This changes how the forest feels. It no longer seems like a place under the sky. It feels like a place that includes the sky, a place where boundaries are unclear. Even after rain stops, the air stays wet. Evaporation begins again. Leaves dry slowly. Moisture rises. The forest resets quietly, preparing for the next cycle. Nothing in this system asks for attention. There is no signal, no warning. Rain simply arrives when enough invisible work has been done. This is why rainforests feel alive in a deeper way. Not just because of animals or plants, but because the air itself feels active. The space between things feels busy. As you listen now, rain may be falling somewhere in a rainforest, created by trees that never noticed they were doing something remarkable. They are not responding to danger. They are not trying to survive. They are simply continuing a process older than memory. The forest does not look up to check the sky. The sky is already part of it. In a rainforest, life is not spread flat. It is stacked. The ground is only one level, and it is not the most important one. Above it, life rises in quiet layers, each one existing almost like a separate world. The highest layer is far above where most people ever look. Tall trees stretch upward until their tops catch full sunlight. This upper space feels open and bright compared to below. Wind moves more freely here. Leaves shake and whisper. Some branches never feel darkness, even at night. Many creatures live their entire lives in this high space. They are born there, they eat there, they sleep there. Some never touch the ground even once. For them, the forest floor is as distant as the ocean floor is to us. Below this top layer, the forest thickens. Light breaks into pieces. Large leaves catch what falls. Vines hang between trunks, creating pathways that never reach the soil. This middle space feels crowded but stable. Movement here is slow and careful. Animals that live in this layer learn to move without falling. They jump between branches, they cling, they balance. Their bodies are shaped for height, not distance. Long tails wrap, strong hands grip. Falling is not an option. This middle layer blocks much of the sun from below. By the time light reaches the ground, it is weak and scattered. The forest floor stays dim, even at midday. Shadows remain soft and constant. Life on the ground adapts to this darkness. Plants grow wide instead of tall. Leaves spread flat to catch what little light arrives. Growth is slow. Energy is saved. Nothing rushes. Some animals never look up. They live among roots, fallen leaves, and soft soil. They move through narrow spaces. They listen more than they see. The ground is not empty. It is crowded in a different way. What makes these layers strange is how little they interact. A bird in the canopy may never encounter a creature from the forest floor. A plant rooted in the soil may never feel direct sun. Life continues side by side, rarely crossing paths. Even rain behaves differently in each layer. At the top, drops fall fast and heavy. In the middle, leaves catch and redirect water. On the ground, rain arrives late, dripping slowly, long after the storm above has passed. Sound also changes as it moves downward. Calls from the canopy fade before reaching the floor. Noises near the ground rarely rise upward. Each layer hears a different version of the forest. This separation shapes behavior. Animals learn what to fear and what to ignore. A threat above may mean nothing below. A movement on the ground may go unnoticed above. Awareness becomes vertical, not wide. Some species evolve to specialize so completely that crossing layers would be dangerous. Their bodies are not built for other spaces. Their instincts do not prepare them for it. Staying in one layer is safer than exploring another. Plants follow the same pattern. Certain plants only grow high in the canopy. Others can survive only in shade. Seeds may fall, but most do not grow unless they land in the right layer. Chance decides much of life here. This stacked design makes the rainforest feel endless. Walking on the ground shows only part of the picture. Looking up reveals more. Still, much remains hidden behind leaves and branches. The forest does not try to connect these layers fully. It allows separation. This reduces competition. It allows more life to exist in the same space without constant conflict. Over time, each layer developed its own rhythm. The canopy responds quickly to sunlight and weather. The middle layer stays steady. The ground changes slowly. Time feels different depending on where you are. At night, this structure becomes even clearer. Some layers wake while others rest. Sounds rise from specific heights. Movement shifts upward or downward. The forest rearranges itself without changing shape. For humans, this is hard to grasp. We are used to living on one level. The idea of a place where most life exists above us feels unsettling. It challenges how we imagine space. Even fallen trees do not erase layers. When a large tree crashes down, light reaches the ground briefly. New growth rushes in. The gap closes. The structure rebuilds itself. Nothing in the rainforest is designed for visitors. Paths do not exist naturally. The forest was built for creatures that move vertically, not forward. This vertical world allows secrets to remain hidden easily. A species can exist in one layer and remain unseen for years. Discovery depends on reaching the right height, not just the right location. As you imagine the rainforest now, think of it not as a place you walk through, but as a place you are inside. Above you, below you, around you, life continues in stacked silence. The forest does not feel crowded because most things never meet. Space is shared without contact. Existence overlaps without awareness. Somewhere above, something moves that will never know you passed beneath it. Somewhere below, something listens without ever seeing the sky. The rainforest holds all of this at once, balanced and layered, continuing upward and downward without asking where you belong. In a rainforest, darkness is not a problem to solve. It is a condition to live with. Sunlight enters the forest, but very little of it reaches the ground. Most of it is caught high above, long before it can travel downward. Leaves at the top spread wide and thick. They block light gently, not completely, but enough. By the time sunlight reaches lower levels, it arrives broken and weak. It comes in thin lines. It moves slowly. It does not stay long. On the forest floor, there are places that never see direct sun. Not in the morning, not at noon, not even for a moment. These places are not empty. They are full of life that learned how to exist without brightness. Plants here do not grow upward quickly. They cannot afford to. Energy is limited. Growth is careful. Leaves grow large instead, stretching sideways to catch whatever light drifts down. Some leaves are wider than a human chest. These plants do not chase the sun. They wait for it. When light appears, even briefly, they use it fully. When it disappears, they return to stillness. Nothing is wasted. Photosynthesis still happens here, but slowly. The process is quiet. It does not rush. The forest floor lives on patience rather than speed. Some plants never experience full daylight. Their entire existence unfolds in shade. Their cells are tuned to low light. Too much sun would harm them. Brightness is not always a gift. This changes how color works. Leaves appear darker. Greens deepen. Surfaces absorb more light than they reflect. The forest floor looks dim, but it is carefully designed. Darkness also controls temperature. Without strong sunlight, the ground stays cool. Heat does not spike. This protects small organisms from drying out. Moisture remains. Fungi thrive here. They do not need light at all. They spread through soil and fallen wood, breaking things down slowly. In darkness, they work without interruption. Animals that live near the ground adapt their senses. Vision matters less. Smell, touch, and sound become more important. Movement becomes cautious. Shapes blur. Awareness widens. Many creatures here are small not because they must be, but because resources are limited. Large bodies need more energy. Smaller bodies survive better in low light. This constant dimness shapes behavior. Animals move slowly. Sudden movement costs energy and attracts attention. Stillness becomes safety. Even predators here hunt quietly. Chasing is rare. Waiting is common. The forest floor rewards patience more than speed. Seeds that fall from above often wait a long time before growing. They remain dormant, sometimes for years. They listen for changes. A fallen tree, a new opening, a brief flood of light. When a tree falls, the forest floor changes instantly. Light pours in. Plants that waited for years begin to grow. The response is fast but temporary. Soon, new growth closes the gap and darkness returns. This cycle repeats endlessly. Darkness, brief light, darkness again. Life adapts not by resisting this pattern but by depending on it. Some plants use reflected light. Sunlight bounces off leaves above and reaches lower plants indirectly. Even shadows carry energy. This shows how little is wasted in the rainforest. Even absence is used. Even darkness feeds life. To human eyes, this dim world can feel heavy. Shapes are unclear. Depth is hard to judge. The forest feels deeper than it is. Distance stretches. This uncertainty is part of the design. Darkness hides movement. It softens edges. It allows life to exist without constant exposure. The forest floor does not aim to impress. It does not glow. It does not announce itself. It works quietly, recycling nutrients and supporting everything above. Without this dark layer, the rainforest would collapse. Fallen leaves would pile up. Nutrients would lock away. Growth above would slow. Darkness is not optional. It is essential. As you imagine the rainforest now, picture a place where light is rare and precious, where life waits instead of pushes, where growth happens without urgency. Darkness here is not empty. It is active. It holds processes that never stop, even when nothing seems to move. Somewhere in this dim space, a plant is growing without ever seeing the sun. It does not know what brightness looks like. It does not need to. The rainforest does not fear darkness. It learned long ago how to live inside it. The rainforest is never quiet. Even when you stop moving, there is always sound. Insects hum and buzz, each note small but part of a constant chorus. Frogs croak somewhere in the shadows, but you cannot see them. Birds call in patterns you cannot follow, their voices distant yet close enough to feel. Sometimes you hear something that seems right next to you, only to find it came from far away. Water dripping from leaves makes tiny rhythms, falling on moss, rocks, and soil. The drops are random, yet together they form a strange, unbroken music. A leaf shakes in the wind, a branch creaks, and suddenly the air feels full of movement even though nothing moves fast enough to notice. Every sound seems alive but without source. It could be a creature, it could be the forest itself. The canopy holds most of the noise. Birds, insects, and monkeys make small sounds, but they rarely descend to the forest floor. From below you only catch fragments. A chirp, a rustle, a sudden flap of wings. The mind tries to place them, but it is impossible. You learn that sound can exist without a clear point, a presence that is everywhere and nowhere at once. Even the soil has sound. Tiny animals move in secret. Their feet barely touch, but the forest feels the vibrations. Roots grow slowly, pushing through dirt and debris, creating almost imperceptible noises. Some insects scrape leaves or branches. Their signals are private messages the forest understands. Humans hear only pieces, incomplete stories in constant replay. Some calls are warnings. Some are mating signals. Others are ways to find food or mark territory. Yet the listener cannot always tell which is which. The forest does not explain itself. It simply continues, a theater of sound that confuses, fascinates, and never repeats the same pattern twice. Rain adds layers to the music. A sudden shower turns leaves into drums. The forest amplifies small droplets, creating echoes that seem far bigger than they are. The wind joins, brushing branches and shaking small fruits onto the floor. The soundscape becomes complex, almost orchestral but without a conductor. Each note happens naturally, yet together they feel intentional. At night, the volume changes. Frogs become louder, crickets dominate. Some animals sing only in darkness, creating rhythms that feel like secret rituals. Even humans feel the difference. The forest seems bigger, alive with unseen creatures. You strain to understand the sources, but cannot. The mystery is part of the experience. Sounds overlap and collide. A bird's call meets a frog's croak and a rustle of leaves. The mind tries to organize them, but the forest resists. Each sound is independent, yet each affects the others. The result is chaos that somehow feels ordered. You begin to notice patterns without being able to name them. Some noises are deceptive. A leaf falling could sound like a small animal. A branch snapping may be far away or closer than you expect. The forest teaches your ears to question what they hear, to wonder how much of the world exists without being seen. Every sound carries a hint of another life, another story hidden just beyond your perception. Even in still moments, the forest hums. Microorganisms move in soil and water. Leaves sway with invisible air currents. Small creatures crawl, feed, and hide. The sound is soft, faint, but always present. Nothing ever truly stops, even when it feels like it does. The forest sound is layered like its life. Canopy, understory, forest floor, each has its own voices. Yet they mix in unpredictable ways. You may hear the same frog or insect differently depending on where you stand. The environment shifts the music constantly. A single step can change what reaches your ears. Sometimes you feel surrounded. Noise seems to come from all directions. It is hard to focus on one thing. You notice how much is hidden in plain hearing. You begin to sense the vastness of the forest through sound alone. Each note is a thread in a web that extends far beyond what you can see. The forest never repeats itself. Even familiar noises appear slightly different each time. Rain, wind, and the movement of creatures combine in new ways every moment. You start to understand that sound in the rainforest is a living thing, changing and evolving constantly. Listening becomes an adventure. You try to locate a call, but it moves as if avoiding detection. Some calls echo, some vanish instantly. You feel tension and curiosity. It is impossible to predict. The forest keeps its secrets through sound. Each note is a clue, yet all clues remain incomplete. This constant noise can feel unsettling. There is no pure silence, yet there is order hidden in chaos. Animals respond to each other, plants move and adjust, water flows in a rhythm of its own. The forest is alive in sound, a network of interactions you can hear but cannot fully trace. Even after you leave, the noise lingers in your memory. You recall the hum of insects, the distant croaks, the soft patter of rain on leaves. Each memory feels like a layer of the forest, a reminder that life exists beyond what is visible. You realize that the rainforest has its own voice, independent of humans, telling stories in a language of sound that is ancient and ongoing. By the time night falls, every creature has a role. The sounds guide them, connect them, warn them, and sometimes even play for no purpose at all. You understand that the forest thrives not only in sight and touch, but in the unseen, in the audible currents that weave a complex, secretive web. Listening to the rainforest teaches patience. It teaches awareness. And most of all, it teaches that life does not always need to be understood. Sometimes it exists simply to be noticed. You can close your eyes, let the forest speak, and realize that even in complete darkness, the rainforest is alive, constantly narrating its invisible stories. The rainforest is full of life that does not want attention. Animals move quietly, almost invisible to anyone watching. Some blend perfectly with bark or leaves. A frog may sit on a leaf, its skin matching every vein. You might walk past without noticing it is there. Its survival depends on being unseen. Predators also hide. A jaguar moves slowly through shadows. Its spots break up its outline, making it part of the dappled forest light. Even birds can disappear. Some pause mid-flight, perching on branches so still you think they are part of the tree. Their movements are measured, deliberate, almost invisible. Insects are masters of disguise. Stick insects look exactly like branches. Leaf insects match leaves in color and shape. When they sway, you cannot tell them from the plants they cling to. They survive by being undetectable. A small mistake could mean death, so evolution perfected their quiet art. Some creatures hide in plain sight. Sloths cling to trees, moving slowly enough that moss grows on their fur. From a distance, they appear to be part of the tree itself. Snakes coil in leaf litter, perfectly camouflaged, waiting for prey or avoiding danger. They do not need to perform. The forest teaches them to vanish. Even fish and amphibians practice invisibility. A frog in a pool blends with water and shadows. Tiny fish hide among roots, barely moving. They survive because the forest allows no mistakes, because predators are patient, and because every movement is observed. The quiet is part of life. Birds often use camouflage too. Some have feathers shaped like leaves or bark. They perch quietly, head still, watching. You might hear them before you see them. They exist in a balance between being noticed and remaining hidden. Their songs are brief and selective, not meant to call attention all the time. Some animals move extremely slowly. Every step is calculated. A slow movement draws less attention than a sudden one. Sloths, turtles, snails, certain insects, they survive because speed is dangerous. The forest favors patience and subtlety over boldness. Even color is tactical. Some frogs and insects have colors that blend in the rain and mud. Others use patterns to confuse predators, breaking their outlines so the eye cannot follow. Camouflage is everywhere. Some patterns are visible only under certain lights, only at certain angles. The forest hides secrets in every shadow. Stillness is a survival strategy. Some predators freeze to confuse prey. Prey freeze to avoid predators. The forest teaches everyone that movement must be minimal and deliberate. A leaf falling or a branch shaking can betray a hidden life. Silence and motion are weapons and shields. No creature performs for the forest. Nothing dances or sings for humans. Every sound and movement has purpose, or it risks life itself. Even playful behavior is measured. The forest rewards invisibility, and the animals have learned it over millions of years. The smallest insects hide as well. Some ants blend with bark. Some beetles look like seeds, and even spiders weave webs that camouflage perfectly. Tiny creatures move unseen, unnoticed, yet each plays a vital role in the forest ecosystem. Their invisibility is their power. Some animals hide not only to avoid predators but to hunt. A frog waits for insects to approach. A jaguar stalks silently. Even birds of prey in the rainforest use shadows and leaves to conceal their approach. Every step is hidden, every glance calculated. The forest teaches patience, and it teaches invisibility. Water adds another layer of concealment. Frogs, insects, and fish move among roots and floating leaves. Rain distorts shapes, creating natural camouflage. Reflections make objects difficult to locate. You may see a splash, hear a ripple, but the source remains unknown. Life hides beneath surfaces as well as above them. Some animals even hide in plain light. Birds with dull colors perch on branches, almost invisible among leaves. Insects freeze midair or land in positions that make them part of the background. Survival depends on invisibility. The rainforest is not a stage. It is a world of concealment. Predators practice stealth too. A jaguar or ocelot will wait hours, moving only when safe. Snakes lie coiled for days. Birds stalk quietly, landing on branches with such care that no leaf stirs. The forest rewards patience and punishes haste. Movement must be precise, almost invisible. Even the forest itself aids in hiding. Moss, vines, and leaves create layers that obscure animals. Shadows fall in constant motion as leaves sway. Light flickers and dappled patterns change every second. Animals take advantage of this natural camouflage. They disappear into the textures of the world around them. Every creature follows this rule. Survival depends on blending. The slow, hidden, calculated life dominates. Nothing calls attention to itself unnecessarily. You begin to realize that the rainforest is more than green trees. It is a network of invisibility, a world where appearing is often fatal. The forest teaches patience. The quiet teaches observation. A creature that does not want to be seen will remain unseen, sometimes for hours, sometimes forever. The balance between predator and prey, between life and death, is maintained in silence. Every hidden movement is a story. Every shadow could contain a life. Even humans can barely notice these patterns. You may walk for hours without seeing most life. Yet it is all there, moving slowly, hiding cleverly. Camouflage and stillness dominate. Speed and visibility are dangers. You begin to understand that being invisible is not just a tactic, it is the law of life in the rainforest. The forest seems to reward those who disappear. Animals that perform, that move boldly without need, often vanish from the story entirely. Life is not for show. Everything has a purpose, and that purpose is survival. The rainforest is a master of concealment, teaching every creature the art of invisibility. And so you watch quietly, realizing the forest is alive not just with movement, but with hidden lives. Every shadow, every leaf, every ripple could hide something important. You start to feel the mystery of a world that continues silently, with countless eyes watching and no one being seen. It is a world built for the unseen, for the quiet, for the hidden. The rainforest is full of secrets. Some you may glimpse. Most will remain forever invisible. Life moves slowly, carefully, and hidden. Nothing seeks attention. Everything survives in shadow and silence. The forest does not perform. It teaches. Time in the rainforest does not feel like a straight line. A tree may fall, heavy and ancient, and yet within years it disappears into the soil. Moss, fungi, and insects break it down quickly. The forest recycles everything, so death becomes growth. Wood becomes earth and earth feeds new life. Nothing waits for centuries. Life moves in loops. New plants shoot up suddenly, reaching for light in days or months. Seedlings take advantage of sunlight gaps, growing faster than you expect. You watch a small plant rise, almost as if the forest accelerates time for some lives while slowing it for others. A fallen branch decays slowly in one spot, while leaves above decompose and vanish in weeks. The rhythm is uneven, unpredictable. Roots twist and curl through soil, pushing around stones and decomposed matter. They carry nutrients from hidden places to places that need them. You can sense time moving sideways, not forward. The forest has no schedules. It moves in pulses, responding to rain, light, and wind. Growth and decay are intertwined, feeding each other quietly. Moss and fungi grow on fallen logs almost immediately. They release spores that spread like invisible dust. Small insects colonize the wood, breaking it down further. Even the smallest action contributes to the cycle. Time here feels layered. You can sense the past and the future overlapping, the old feeding the new constantly. Some plants live only briefly. They sprout, flower, and die in months. Others live for decades, towering above everything else. The contrast makes the forest feel strange. A sapling may appear tiny and weak, yet it contains the potential to outlive humans. Meanwhile, a leaf may fall one morning and vanish that afternoon. Time stretches and compresses in curious ways. Water influences this sideways motion. Rain nourishes, erodes, and moves nutrients. Rivulets form and vanish, carrying parts of life across the forest. Mudslides and floods rearrange the landscape, burying old soil and revealing fresh layers. In one day, the forest can change in ways centuries in other places cannot. Decomposition is fast but precise. Microbes, fungi, and insects work together to break down every part of a fallen tree. You notice how nothing is wasted. Bark, leaves, wood, even seeds left behind become part of the system. The forest seems to rewrite history constantly. Yesterday's fallen branch is today's soil, tomorrow's seedbed. Some trees grow slowly in dense shade. They take years to reach light, yet they persist. Others exploit sunlight gaps immediately, racing upward in sudden bursts. You realize that speed does not dictate survival. Patience is part of the cycle. Some lives stretch across decades, others pass in the blink of a season. Seeds travel in unexpected ways. Wind, water, and animals carry them far from their origin. A seed may lie dormant for months or years before it finds the right conditions. The forest seems to pause and resume its story according to chance. Time is not fixed. Life unfolds in unpredictable sequences. Even fallen leaves tell stories of sideways time. They fall, rot, and disappear, but their nutrients nourish plants far away. Tiny creatures ride on them, carrying life to new places. You notice that everything is connected, and each small action echoes in ways you cannot see. Time folds over itself, linking events separated by days, months, or years. Some trees remember more than you think. Their roots and leaves retain water, nutrients, and chemicals that influence neighboring plants. Fallen logs release compounds that protect seedlings. The past lingers in soil and air, influencing what comes next. Time feels like a spiral, not a line, twisting past and future together. Animals also participate in this sideways flow. Termites, beetles, and worms recycle fallen matter. Birds disperse seeds. Frogs and insects move nutrients through water and soil. Each creature acts in its own rhythm, contributing to cycles that humans cannot fully measure. The forest lives in overlapping sequences. Some areas seem older than others, though nothing looks ancient. Soil layers, fallen logs, and dense vegetation hint at centuries of life compressed into small spaces. You notice patterns that repeat, the same shapes of leaves, similar insect colonies, identical fungi blooms. Time loops subtly, echoing itself in small forms. Growth and decay happen simultaneously. A tree sprouts while a neighbor falls. A leaf opens while another decomposes. The forest does not wait for completion. Every moment is filled with creation and destruction side by side. The rhythm is constant, yet unpredictable. Even light participates in sideways time. Sunlight moves through leaves differently throughout the day. Shadows stretch, contract, and flicker. Each beam illuminates different parts of the forest at different moments. You realize that perception itself shapes the sense of time. The forest exists in moving layers, each with its own pace. Waterfalls and rivers add to the feeling of folded time. Water erodes rocks quickly, yet shapes valleys slowly. Pools form and disappear. Fish move, seeds float, and soil is carried downstream. The forest experiences centuries and hours simultaneously. Each drop is part of a larger timeline that stretches in unexpected directions. Some plants live unnoticed for years. Orchids cling to trees in the canopy, flowering only occasionally. Their life seems suspended until a moment triggers it. Even animals can pause. Snakes freeze for hours, waiting for prey. Sloths hang still for entire days. Time bends around them, slower for some, faster for others. Even decay is not linear. A log may rot on one side faster than the other. Fungi grow in patches, insects colonize specific areas first. Rain and wind change the process. The forest is full of small inconsistencies that make time feel flexible. Nothing happens evenly. Life adapts to irregular rhythms. You notice that everything in the forest recycles itself. Leaves, animals, water, seeds, even sunlight, everything passes through cycles. Some parts repeat, others are lost forever. Time feels sideways because the forest does not follow a straight path. Past, present, and future overlap constantly. Every step you take reveals a new layer of this hidden timeline. Fallen trees, new sprouts, insects, and fungi, moving water, all exist together, interwoven. You start to sense the invisible connections that make the forest function. Each life is part of the loops. Every death becomes fuel for new life. The rainforest shows that time is not a river. It bends, loops, and overlaps. Growth, decay, and survival create invisible patterns that humans can barely perceive. Life moves on multiple tracks at once. Some moments are fleeting, others echo across decades. Yet everything fits together in a system older than we can imagine. You realize that in the rainforest, time is alive. It does not just pass. It cycles, folds, and folds again. Every creature, plant, and drop of water participates. The forest has no beginning or end in the way we understand. It moves sideways, quietly, eternally, teaching patience and mystery in ways that cannot be rushed or fully seen. The forest floor is alive in ways most people cannot see. Fallen leaves cover the ground, but they are far from dead. Insects crawl through them, breaking them into smaller pieces. Tiny microbes work quietly, consuming every bit of organic matter. Nothing remains still for long. Decay and life happen together, constantly. Fungi grow across logs and leaves, spreading threads that seem invisible at first. They feed on fallen matter, turning it into nutrients that the forest can reuse. Their colors are subtle, browns and greens blending with the earth. You may step near a patch and never notice the small life thriving there. Yet it is everywhere, shaping the ground silently. Insects dominate this hidden world. Ants carry pieces of leaves and seeds back to their colonies. Beetles chew on decaying wood, making it easier for other organisms to use. Tiny spiders hide under leaf litter, waiting for prey. Every movement contributes to the transformation of death into new life. Nothing in the forest floor is wasted. Even the smallest particles of matter matter. Soil microbes digest what larger creatures leave behind. They release nutrients that plants absorb. Trees grow taller because of what once fell unnoticed to the ground. Water flows through the soil, carrying life from one part of the forest to another. The forest floor is a network, alive with unseen activity. Fallen trees are homes for countless creatures. Insects, small mammals, fungi, and moss occupy rotting wood. The decay process is rapid compared to other ecosystems. A tree that fell years ago may already be gone, fully recycled into soil. You begin to sense that the floor is not empty, it never truly sleeps. Even at night, life continues. Nocturnal creatures emerge from hidden burrows. Frogs hop across damp leaves. Insects buzz and crawl. Microbes continue their work, digesting matter and releasing nutrients. The forest floor hums quietly, invisible but persistent, a constant engine of transformation. Seeds germinate in this hidden world. Some lie dormant until a small gap in the canopy lets light through. Others fall into decaying logs and begin growing immediately. The forest floor provides a foundation for life, even as it consumes what once lived. Every death is preparation for new growth. Moss and small plants cover patches of soil. They absorb moisture and release it slowly, creating microhabitats for tiny creatures. Each patch is a miniature ecosystem. Insects, fungi, and microorganisms interact in patterns too small and complex to notice at first. Yet these patterns determine the survival of larger plants and animals above. Water shapes the floor in unexpected ways. Rain drips from leaves, pooling in small depressions. Streams of water carry soil, seeds, and nutrients across the ground. Even when it appears dry, the soil is alive with movement, slowly shifting and reshaping itself. The forest floor is never stable. The decaying matter releases smells that attract creatures. Some insects use scent to locate food. Predators follow subtle chemical trails to hunt. Even birds may descend to feed on insects or small reptiles. Every smell is a signal, a hidden map of life and death. You begin to notice that sound, smell, and movement all combine to create a secret language. Fungi have their own stories. Some appear overnight, mushrooms popping up in damp corners. Others spread slowly, threads creeping along logs and soil, invisible but persistent. They create networks beneath the surface, connecting roots and plants. You can't see them all, yet they influence the forest above. Life on the floor often goes unnoticed by larger animals. A jaguar or tapir may pass without disturbing the smallest insects, yet their presence changes the environment. Seeds are crushed, soil is shifted, leaves scattered. Every action alters the microcosm below. The forest floor responds, always active, always transforming. Even fallen leaves have secrets. Each one carries bacteria, fungi, and spores. Insects crawl on them, making tiny tunnels. When they decay, nutrients return to the soil. You realize that nothing truly ends. Every piece of matter continues to participate in life, in ways invisible but essential. Roots themselves host hidden life. They twist beneath soil, providing shelter for insects and small creatures. Fungi connect to roots, exchanging nutrients. Trees communicate chemically through these networks. The floor is alive not just with decomposition, but with conversation between organisms. Some animals specialize in the forest floor. Frogs, snakes, insects, and small mammals navigate the ground with precision. They hide from predators and hunt in secret. Their lives are shaped by the constant transformation of the floor. You can see traces, tiny holes, leaf trails, small tunnels, but not the full picture. Most activity remains hidden. Even the soil carries memory. Layers of decayed plants, roots, and organisms build slowly. They preserve chemical traces, nutrients, and water patterns. These layers influence what grows next. A seed may sprout decades after the parent tree fell. Time folds over itself on the floor, recycling life endlessly. The floor reacts to the canopy above. Fallen leaves from high branches create shade for moss and seedlings. Sunlight gaps trigger growth in specific patches. Rain drips unevenly, creating damp zones. Each factor contributes to constant movement and transformation. Nothing is passive. The forest floor is full of surprises. A sudden rustle may reveal a frog leaping from leaf to leaf. A beetle may crawl across a decaying log, carrying spores. Tiny fungi may bloom where you least expect. Every moment offers glimpses of hidden life, showing the floor as a world of constant activity and change. Even dead animals feed life. Carcasses are consumed by insects and microbes, broken down into nutrients for plants. This cycle is rapid and precise. Nothing is wasted, and every life contributes to the survival of the forest. The floor absorbs death and converts it into continuation, over and over. You begin to realize that the forest floor is the backbone of the rainforest. It carries secrets, transformations, and the memory of past growth. Every movement, drop of water, and trace of life matters. Life and death intertwine in endless cycles. The forest floor never stops, never rests, and never truly empties. As you observe closely, you notice layers of life interacting invisibly. Insects carry seeds, fungi feed plants, water distributes nutrients. Even shadows affect temperature and moisture. The floor is alive with motion and transformation, a hidden engine powering the entire rainforest. You start to understand that the forest is not static. Nothing on the floor waits. Everything responds, moves, and transforms simultaneously. The smallest life has its role, and the largest plants depend on it. Time and movement intertwine in a cycle that repeats endlessly. By the end, you sense that the forest floor is a world within a world. It is chaotic yet ordered, hidden yet essential. Death never settles and nothing remains still. Every step, sound, and droplet matters. It is the secret heartbeat of the rainforest, a place where life continues, transforms, and flourishes quietly beneath your feet. When the sun sets, the rainforest changes completely. Daylight fades, and with it, the rules that govern life. Diurnal creatures retreat, seeking shelter in hidden spaces. Birds become silent, monkeys vanish among the branches, and insects that avoid light disappear into shadows. Darkness becomes the new master of the forest. Nocturnal animals emerge from hiding. Frogs hop across damp leaves, croaking in patterns that feel random but have meaning only to them. Owls glide silently above the canopy, wings soft against the night air. Insects hum, buzz, and scrape, filling spaces that seemed empty in daylight. Every movement is purposeful, yet almost invisible. Predators take advantage of the darkness. Jaguars and ocelots prowl silently, their eyes adapted to see in low light. They move slowly, calculating every step. Prey must listen carefully, smell keenly, and watch shadows constantly. Night brings a shift in power. The hunter and hunted roles change as visibility decreases. Sounds change entirely. During the day, calls and songs dominate. At night, the forest hums with subtle tones. The chorus of frogs, crickets, and insects rises. A soft rustle in the leaves could signal a small mammal passing or a predator hunting. Echoes move differently in darkness, making it hard to tell where a sound comes from. Every noise becomes a hint, a clue, a warning. The forest seems larger at night. Shadows stretch across the ground, folding around roots and fallen logs. Trees loom taller, and unseen branches sway in the wind. The canopy feels like an uncharted world above you. Every movement, every whisper of air carries hidden life. You sense more depth than during the day. Even the smallest creatures adapt. Insects emerge to feed, their patterns unseen by predators that cannot hunt in low light. Moths flutter silently, landing on leaves with delicate precision. Spiders extend webs in dim corners, waiting for food to come unknowingly. Life shifts into a rhythm suited to darkness, a hidden cycle unseen by daylight eyes. Water reflects less light but influences everything. Pools shimmer faintly, disturbed by frogs or insects. Drips of rain or condensation echo differently at night. Streams murmur quietly, carrying movement downstream. Even the soft sound of wet soil being disturbed feels amplified. Darkness changes perception and presence. Some animals use the night as camouflage. Owls' feathers, bats' wings, and snakes' scales blend into shadows. They move unseen, and their prey often has no chance to detect them. Color and texture become irrelevant. Invisibility is the rule. Even eyes adapted to darkness may fail to see everything moving. Plants change subtly too. Some flowers open only at night, releasing scents to attract pollinators that cannot be seen. Night-blooming orchids and other flora rely on invisible insects to reproduce. The forest floor releases aromas that shift the way animals navigate, creating secret trails in darkness. Life adapts to hidden senses, not sight. Time feels different at night. Seconds stretch as you notice subtle movements. A frog pauses mid-hop, a spider freezes on a leaf, and shadows shift slowly. The forest slows and accelerates simultaneously. The sense of rhythm is strange, unfamiliar. Night creates its own tempo, different from the pulse of daylight. Predation becomes quiet and calculated. Jaguars may sit for hours before moving. Owls glide without sound. Snakes hunt by sensing vibrations and heat rather than sight. The forest teaches stealth more than strength at night. Every movement has weight and meaning. Some sounds are deceptive. The rustle of leaves may come from a small animal, or it may be a predator lying in wait. Calls echo differently in darkness, confusing the listener. You cannot trust your eyes, and your ears provide only partial answers. The night keeps its secrets deliberately. Even the canopy participates. Bats navigate silently above, using echolocation to map their surroundings. Their movements disturb tiny insects, which in turn move unpredictably. Birds of prey may swoop from above, their wings stirring leaves and creating temporary shadows. The upper layers of the forest are alive in ways invisible to anyone walking below. Water droplets from leaves create new sounds. They hit soil, logs, and leaves, producing rhythms different from daytime. The forest seems to listen and respond, every drip a part of the hidden orchestra. Sound, movement, and scent combine to form a mysterious, layered world. Night also changes human perception. The forest feels stranger, deeper, larger. Every rustle makes you question what moved. Every shadow seems alive. You notice small details you would have missed in the bright day. The rainforest becomes a place of mystery, teaching you that even familiar spaces transform when light leaves. Insects dominate the night in ways unseen. Their patterns of flight and movement are almost invisible. Moths, beetles, and smaller species navigate using subtle cues. Some insects emit light, tiny glows in the dark, attracting mates or warning predators. Night reveals a hidden visual language that only some creatures perceive. Predators that rest during the day become active. Small mammals scurry, searching for food, while larger ones hunt silently. Frogs sing with urgency. Birds adapted to darkness glide overhead. Each species knows its role and follows invisible rules, a choreography dictated by night itself. The forest floor becomes unpredictable. Fallen leaves, roots, and moss conceal hidden life. Small animals move quickly, avoiding predators. Water puddles reflect faint moonlight, and the soil feels soft with constant movement. Darkness allows creatures to explore spaces they avoid during the day. Even temperature influences movement. Night air is cooler, heavier. Some insects emerge only when humidity rises. Frogs seek damp areas. Plants retain moisture, creating microhabitats for nocturnal activity. Life adjusts to every small change in conditions, a subtle dance of survival. By the end of the night, the forest has told its story in invisible ways. Sounds, movements, and scents have created a narrative humans cannot fully understand. Every creature has played its role, every plant has contributed, and the forest exists as a living, breathing organism of darkness. You realize that night in the rainforest is not simply absence of light. It is a shift in rules, a hidden world that thrives in parallel to the day. You can listen, watch carefully, and sense the rhythm, but the forest keeps its deepest secrets. Night reveals life that cannot be seen, yet is as vital and complex as anything in daylight. The forest teaches that survival depends on adaptability, awareness, and patience. Darkness brings clarity in unexpected ways. Life continues, unnoticed yet purposeful. The rainforest at night is a world within a world, full of mysteries, and it invites careful observation to even glimpse its hidden layers. As dawn approaches, the nocturnal creatures retreat. Daytime animals slowly return. The forest resets, changing the rules once more. But the traces of night remain: scents, disturbed soil, subtle marks of movement. The night has passed, leaving stories written invisibly across the forest floor, leaves, and air. Rainforests remember things in ways humans cannot imagine. Trees and plants do not have brains, yet they store information. Chemical signals move through roots and fungi, warning neighbors about dangers. If an insect starts eating one tree, others can detect the attack. They prepare defenses, growing toxins or closing tiny pores to protect themselves. Roots stretch underground, touching other plants. They share nutrients and information. Fungi connect many trees in a hidden network, like the veins of a brain. A tree under attack can send chemical messages through this network. Nearby plants respond, even if they are different species. The forest seems aware, acting collectively without thought. Even leaves can store memory. When insects nibble on them, they release chemicals into the air. Nearby plants detect these scents and prepare for attack. The signals can travel meters or even tens of meters. The forest communicates constantly, invisibly, without sound or visible motion. You realize the trees are not isolated. Some chemical messages last for days, others fade quickly. Plants can remember a drought or pest attack long enough to change how they grow. They adjust root patterns, leaf shapes, or chemical defenses. The rainforest adapts continuously, using memory encoded in molecules instead of neurons. Fungi are the secret messengers. They link roots across large areas, forming what scientists call the wood wide web. Nutrients flow both ways. A tree with excess sugar can send it to a shaded neighbor. Information about threats, water stress, or growth opportunities moves through these threads. Life thrives on these invisible exchanges. Insects also influence forest memory. When they feed on leaves, they leave chemical trails that other insects or plants detect. Some predators can follow these trails to hunt prey, while plants adjust defenses. Even without sight or thought, the forest reacts as a system. Every action leaves an echo. Rain carries signals as well. Chemicals washed from leaves and bark enter the soil, reaching roots far away. Water can move information across distances humans cannot see. A single storm may change how plants and fungi interact for weeks. The forest records experiences in invisible ways. Trees can remember fire, storms, or floods. If one area burns, surviving trees release chemicals that alter seed germination. Some seeds lie dormant until signals indicate it is safe to grow. Nature's memory extends across years. A single catastrophic event leaves traces in soil chemistry and plant behavior long afterward. Even small plants participate. Seedlings detect chemical cues from nearby mature plants. They adjust growth patterns to avoid danger or maximize light. Their memory is subtle, molecular, and temporary, yet it influences the forest's long-term survival. Nothing in the rainforest is disconnected. Animals leave memories too, though not in the same way. Birds, mammals, and insects disturb soil, move seeds, and interact with plants. Their activity changes chemical balances, triggers growth, or spreads warnings indirectly. Life forms collaborate without understanding, creating a shared record of experiences. Leaves, branches, and flowers contain stored information. When they decompose, they release nutrients and chemical cues. Even in death, they teach the forest. Seeds germinate better where fallen leaves release specific compounds. In this way, memory shapes new life. Death is not absence, it is instruction. Some roots grow toward danger. If soil conditions change, roots sense stress from neighboring trees. They adjust direction, length, and density. Nutrients move accordingly. The forest behaves like a network, responding to challenges collectively. Information flows without a central brain. Mosses and lichens also contribute. They absorb chemicals from rain and nearby plants. When conditions change, they release substances that influence seed germination and plant growth. Every layer of life participates in remembering and reacting. Even the smallest organisms play a role. Sunlight patterns create memory as well. Leaves detect angles and intensity. Trees adjust growth for maximum efficiency. Fungi respond to light indirectly through host plants. The forest records daily rhythms and seasonal changes, using them to optimize growth. Memory exists as patterns, not thoughts. Rainforest memory is sometimes protective. Trees that experience insect attacks release signals that repel pests. Seeds exposed to certain chemical cues may delay germination until conditions improve. The forest anticipates challenges, adapting in advance. It remembers dangers without thinking, preparing for threats invisibly. Even large events leave traces. Landslides, floods, or storms shift soil, uproot trees, and redistribute seeds. Plants respond chemically to these disturbances. Roots send signals to surviving trees, fungi spread nutrients, and new seedlings exploit cleared spaces. Memory guides recovery, allowing life to persist despite destruction. Some trees influence neighbors more than others. Older, larger trees send stronger signals, shaping the growth of younger plants. A single tree can affect hundreds of surrounding organisms through chemical communication. Memory spreads like ripples, linking the forest into one intelligent system without intelligence. Insects amplify memory. They spread pollen, carry spores, or create damage that triggers chemical responses. Beetles, ants, and other creatures become unintended messengers, moving information across the forest. Each movement matters, each action is recorded chemically. Even the air holds signals. Volatile compounds from leaves, flowers, and soil float between plants. Nearby flora detects them and reacts. Some signals warn of predators. Others indicate water or nutrient availability. The atmosphere itself becomes a medium of memory, invisible but alive. Rainforest memory is persistent yet flexible. Signals fade, chemicals break down, but the information they carry influences new life. Trees and plants adjust to changing conditions, preparing for events they have never seen but chemically sensed before. Adaptation is ongoing, guided by experience encoded in molecules. The forest teaches that intelligence does not require a brain. Life remembers, shares, and reacts. Experiences ripple across layers, connecting trees, fungi, and small organisms into a single responsive system. Each chemical signal is part of a memory, each root and leaf a node in a hidden network. Even when humans are absent, the forest maintains its memory. It records droughts, storms, and attacks. It prepares seedlings and warns neighbors. Life thrives because information flows invisibly, guiding growth and survival. You begin to sense that memory in the rainforest is everywhere, yet unseen. By observing closely, you notice patterns repeating across species. Trees respond in similar ways to threats. Roots adjust predictably. Fungi spread nutrients efficiently. Life is guided by invisible instructions, written in molecules instead of words. The rainforest remembers, adapts, and persists. The forest's memory is not conscious. It does not think or plan. Yet it responds with precision, reacting to conditions and ensuring survival. Every chemical signal, every root extension, every fungal network is part of an immense record of experience. Life moves forward informed by what came before. Even in decay, memory exists. Fallen leaves, rotting wood, and decomposed matter release chemicals that teach the next generation. A tree that dies feeds its neighbors with knowledge of pests, soil quality, and growth conditions. Death becomes instruction, absence becomes guidance. The rainforest functions as a living archive. It stores experiences in molecules, roots, fungi, insects, and air. Life acts on this archive constantly, sharing, reacting, and adapting. You realize that memory without a brain can be powerful. The forest proves it, hidden yet undeniable. Every part of the rainforest participates. Large trees, tiny plants, fungi, insects, soil, and air all record and transmit information. Even when unseen, memory flows. The forest acts as one system, ancient, responsive, and mysterious. It teaches that knowledge does not require thought, only connection. Life in the rainforest thrives because of this invisible memory. Threats are anticipated, resources shared, and growth optimized. The forest moves as one, guided by signals, chemicals, and networks. Memory exists everywhere, in every leaf, root, and organism. It is invisible, silent, but complete. The rainforest remembers without thought. Every action leaves a trace. Every creature, plant, and drop of water contributes to this hidden record. Life survives because information flows, shared across species and layers. Memory becomes a force, shaping the present and preparing for the future, all without a single brain thinking. Deep inside the rainforest, there are places few humans have ever seen. These areas are untouched by roads, trails, or settlements. They stretch for miles, dense and mysterious. Trees grow tall and close together, their canopies blocking most sunlight. The air is thick with humidity, smells, and hidden movement. You begin to sense that this forest exists entirely on its own terms. Paths that animals follow are invisible to people. Jaguars move silently, tracing routes through shadows. Monkeys leap from branch to branch without making a sound that carries far. Insects crawl and buzz in layers humans rarely notice. Every movement, no matter how small, is part of life continuing undisturbed. Water flows differently in these remote areas. Streams and small rivers twist unpredictably. Pools form in depressions where sunlight never fully reaches. The water reflects nothing but green and shadow, carrying life quietly along its path. Frogs, fish, and other creatures use these waters without interruption. They do not recognize humans, and humans do not interrupt them. Plants grow without observation. Some have never been catalogued or named. Flowers bloom briefly and fade without anyone recording their existence. Roots and vines twist through the soil, climbing trees and spreading nutrients invisibly. Life thrives without a witness, following patterns that have existed for centuries. Predators and prey live in delicate balance. Every creature knows its role. Jaguars hunt quietly, small mammals hide cleverly, and birds forage without causing major disruption. The forest's rules operate without human interference. Life continues in a rhythm that is ancient, complex, and hidden. Even fallen trees tell stories unseen. They decompose slowly, becoming home for fungi, insects, and small reptiles. Mosses and lichens grow where light is scarce. Seeds germinate in the shadow of decay. The cycle of life and death happens without a human noticing. Time passes differently here, measured by growth and decay rather than clocks. Sound behaves strangely in these untouched areas. Calls of birds, frogs, and insects echo through the dense canopy. Some sounds are sharp, others muffled. Occasionally, a branch snaps far away, startling nearby creatures. Every sound carries meaning in a forest that has never been tamed. Humans are absent, but life speaks. Even the soil is different. Rich with decayed matter, it holds moisture and nutrients carefully balanced over decades. Roots dig deep, fungi spread far, and insects aerate the earth. The floor is alive with invisible work, shaping the growth of plants and trees above. Nothing in these areas is wasted or idle. Some animals rarely descend from the canopy. Birds, monkeys, and even snakes may live their entire lives above ground, hidden from anyone walking below. Their existence remains largely unrecorded. Their daily movements, feeding habits, and interactions are invisible to humans. Life above and below moves in parallel, unnoticed. Microhabitats flourish without disruption. Small pools in leaves, tree hollows, and fallen logs become ecosystems of their own. Tiny amphibians, insects, and microorganisms complete life cycles entirely hidden from view. Even the smallest spaces contribute to the forest's mystery and complexity. Plants communicate here as well. Chemical signals move through air, roots, and fungi, alerting neighbors to threats or changes. Insects amplify these messages, spreading information further. No human observes this conversation, yet it shapes survival and growth. The forest functions like a vast, hidden city. Storms pass differently in these untouched areas. Branches sway, leaves shake, and rivers rise without interference. Fallen debris forms bridges for small animals. Water spreads seeds naturally. Life absorbs these changes and continues without pause. Every event is part of a rhythm humans do not control. Even night operates differently. Predators roam freely. Nocturnal creatures hunt and mate, oblivious to humans. Sounds of frogs, insects, and distant animals form a unique nocturnal symphony. Darkness is unbroken by artificial lights. The forest exists in its own temporal patterns. Some trees are ancient, centuries old. They have grown without pruning or interference. Their massive roots anchor the soil, their canopies feed countless creatures, and their branches create hidden tunnels above. These giants may never be fully documented or understood. They are monuments to life untouched. Small mammals create networks underground. Rodents, insects, and burrowing animals tunnel beneath roots and soil. They move silently, changing soil composition, aerating earth, and creating hidden passageways. Humans rarely see these micro-movements, yet they shape the entire ecosystem above. Fungi and mosses thrive in unique patterns. Some species appear only in these untouched cores, feeding on rare decaying matter. They interact with roots, insects, and microbes in ways not fully understood. Every layer of life contributes to complexity invisible to humans. Seeds disperse naturally without human aid. Some float in water, others stick to animals or fall to the ground. Each has a unique journey, often leading to germination in hidden, fertile spots. Life renews itself quietly and efficiently. The forest's mystery is amplified by absence. Because humans rarely intrude, behavior remains natural. Predators hunt with no fear of interference. Prey responds instinctively. Birds, insects, and mammals follow ancestral patterns. Every living thing is part of a story that is observed only by the forest itself. Even the smallest details matter. A fallen leaf may shelter an insect or provide nutrients when it decomposes. A single water droplet can influence moss growth. Every small event contributes to the overall vitality of these untouched places. Life depends on countless unseen interactions. No maps can fully capture these areas. Remote cores of rainforests are vast, twisting, and hidden. Even aerial views reveal only the surface. Beneath the canopy, entire worlds exist beyond human knowledge. Rivers, hills, and valleys create corridors for life that remain secret. Time feels slower here. Trees, roots, and soil accumulate changes unnoticed. Life continues through cycles of birth, death, and growth. Humans are irrelevant. The forest exists independently, ancient and self-sustaining. Its history stretches far beyond records. Even the air is rich with unseen signals. Chemical compounds, spores, and pheromones move invisibly between plants and animals. Every breath contains hints of life happening out of sight. The forest communicates without eyes or ears, and humans are only casual observers from the edges. By the end, you sense that much of the rainforest remains unrecorded and unexplored. Life continues, vast and intricate without documentation. Predators, prey, plants, fungi, and microorganisms all exist within this hidden web. Humans touch only the surface, while the deeper forest preserves its secrets. These untouched cores teach that life does not require observation to exist fully. Complexity, adaptation, and memory occur regardless of human presence. The rainforest thrives, mysterious and self-sufficient, a living world that continues beyond notice. Remote areas remind us that even when we are absent, life continues. Survival, growth, and adaptation happen invisibly, shaped by connections, chemical signals, and cycles of life and death. The rainforest carries on, ancient, hidden, and endlessly mysterious. The forest teaches that mystery is natural. It does not need human eyes to validate it. Every organism, every layer, every drop of water contributes to a hidden story. Life persists without observation, and the untouched rainforest holds secrets that may never be discovered. The rainforest does not stop when humans leave. It does not pause for observation or care. Life continues quietly in patterns older than anyone can track. Trees sway, leaves grow, roots dig deeper into the soil. Streams run, insects buzz, and animals move without regard for eyes that once watched. The forest is infinite in its own way, operating on rhythms that ignore presence. Branches twist and stretch towards sunlight that continues to change. Even fallen trees decay, feeding soil and life beneath. Fungi grow in hidden corners, decomposing matter that humans will never notice. Mosses cling to bark and rocks, absorbing water and nutrients from air and rain. Life continues in small, meticulous ways that rarely intersect with the outside world. Predators hunt in patterns unchanged by human presence. Jaguars move silently, watching prey that does not notice danger until it is too late. Birds swoop above, searching for insects or small mammals, their paths precise yet unseen. Frogs call from hidden pools, their songs rising and fading in irregular rhythms. Night or day, the rules of survival continue without pause. Even the soil is alive, responding to unseen events. Microorganisms digest fallen matter. Roots adjust to shifting nutrients. Water seeps into hidden pockets, carrying chemical signals that influence the next generation of plants. Every particle of earth plays a role, part of a cycle invisible but essential. Streams continue to shape the forest. They carve new paths, deposit silt, and create habitats for small creatures. Pools form in unexpected depressions, each with its own community of insects, amphibians, and plants. Rain washes leaves and chemicals through the soil, carrying messages unnoticed by humans. The forest's life is ongoing, a quiet network of interaction. Life adapts constantly. Plants grow taller to reach light while others thrive in shade. Vines twist around trees, reaching for the canopy. Seeds germinate where the soil is fertile, sometimes far from their parent tree. New life begins without guidance or observation, following patterns of survival that have existed for centuries. Animals continue unseen migrations. Monkeys leap from branch to branch, exploring areas humans may never reach. Insects move in intricate networks, pollinating flowers, feeding on leaves, or decomposing matter. Even creatures that humans cannot see influence the forest in essential ways. The forest hums with activity, invisible yet full of energy. Storms pass through, rearranging life. Branches break, leaves scatter, and water moves seeds and soil. Animals adjust to these changes instinctively. Plants respond to broken branches and fallen trees by filling gaps with new growth. Life absorbs disturbance and continues without reflection or regret. Every event is part of a broader rhythm that has no beginning or end. Night returns again and again. Nocturnal creatures emerge to hunt, mate, and communicate. Predators glide silently above the forest floor. Frogs sing in patterns only they understand. Insects glow or move invisibly. Darkness is simply another state of the forest, no less alive or purposeful than daytime. The rainforest thrives in its own cycles, unbothered by human attention. Seeds continue their journeys. Some fall directly beneath parent trees, others travel on water or with animals. Each finds a niche to grow, a chance to live without interference. Germination happens according to subtle cues: light, moisture, and chemical signals. Life renews itself constantly, weaving a web that extends far beyond what can be observed. Chemical communication persists. Plants warn neighbors of pests or water stress. Fungi spread nutrients across networks of roots. Even air carries volatile compounds that guide growth or influence behavior. The forest remembers and responds, but not in a conscious way. Memory exists in movement, in signals, in relationships between organisms. Predators and prey continue a silent dialogue. Jaguars, ocelots, snakes, and small mammals interact in ways humans rarely witness. Strategies for hunting and survival are learned, practiced, and passed along in behavior rather than through observation. Life maintains balance through invisible forces. The canopy remains layered and complex. Birds, monkeys, and insects navigate multiple levels, often never touching the ground. Sunlight filters through gaps, creating shifting patterns. Leaves grow, decay, and fall, feeding hidden layers below. Each stratum contributes to the whole, interdependent and continuous. Even the air holds life. Pollens, spores, and chemicals move invisibly, affecting plants and animals far away. Moisture and wind carry messages that shape growth and behavior. Every breath of air is full of unseen activity. The forest continues to communicate without a voice. Water, soil, and life form unbroken cycles. Streams feed rivers, rivers feed wetlands, and all carry nutrients, chemicals, and organisms. Roots anchor the soil, fungi connect life, and leaves capture energy from the sun. Each component acts, reacts, and participates in ongoing processes. The rainforest exists as a self-sufficient system. Time in the forest feels strange. Days pass, seasons change, yet the forest seems unaging. Old trees persist, seedlings grow, animals move, and cycles repeat endlessly. Life operates on rhythms that humans cannot fully perceive. The rainforest is ancient, yet always renewing itself in every moment. Even in decay, the forest continues. Fallen logs, decomposed leaves, and rotting fruit become sources of life. Microbes, fungi, and insects recycle matter efficiently. Every end is a beginning, every disappearance a transformation. Nothing truly stops. Animals that humans rarely see continue to play roles in the ecosystem. Birds pollinate flowers, bats disperse seeds, ants aerate soil. Insects, small mammals, reptiles, and amphibians all contribute to the forest's ongoing life. Every organism has a purpose, even if hidden. Human absence does not matter. The forest exists independently. No observation is needed. No intervention is required. Life thrives, changes, adapts, and communicates. The rainforest is self-contained, a network of relationships, processes, and cycles that continue indefinitely. The forest's mystery is preserved because it is autonomous. Even if humans leave forever, it will continue as before. Every chemical, every movement, every sound, every shift in light contributes to an ongoing story. The rainforest is a living, breathing system with infinite continuity. Nothing concludes here. No lesson is taught. No story ends. You may leave, but the forest will remain, unchanged in its complexity and hidden interactions. It grows, adapts, and responds, completely unaware of who has visited or watched. Every leaf, root, insect, and animal participates in the endless flow of life. Seasons pass, storms come and go, animals hunt and mate, plants grow and decay. The forest is a continuous, unbroken system, operating outside human perception. Even when you stop observing, the rainforest moves. It reshapes itself, renews itself, and preserves its hidden mysteries. Life continues without pause, without need for closure, without concern for attention. The forest teaches a quiet truth. Existence does not require witness. Life unfolds, adapts, survives, and persists. It is self-sufficient, complex, and unending. As you leave the forest in your mind, sounds, scents, and shadows fade from your senses, but the rainforest does not. It remains alive, mysterious, and continuous. Every cycle, every signal, every movement carries on without interruption. You are gone, yet the forest persists. Predators hunt, plants grow, fungi spread, water flows, and life continues. Nothing pauses for you. Nothing concludes with your leaving. The rainforest is eternal in its own way, endlessly mysterious and always alive. Even as the video ends, imagine the forest existing without you. It does not wait, it does not change, it simply continues. The story does not stop. The forest has no closure, only continuation. It teaches that some mysteries exist beyond observation, beyond understanding, and beyond human presence. Life in the rainforest moves on. Trees stretch taller, roots dig deeper, animals roam, and water carves paths. Each organism contributes to an infinite, unending web. The forest is alive in a way that transcends stories, lessons, and conclusions. It is infinite and it continues. The rainforest waits for no one. It adapts, survives, and communicates in hidden ways. Even when we leave, it maintains its rhythm. It remembers, it grows, it feeds, and it transforms. The forest is eternal in movement, invisible in its deepest parts, and unending in its cycles. You may fade from its story, but it does not fade. Life continues. Every leaf, branch, creature, and drop of water carries the ongoing process forward. The forest is alive, unobserved, and endless. It reminds us that the world moves independently of our attention. No finality exists here. There is no pause, no resolution, no last act. The rainforest stretches onward, infinite in complexity, carrying life forward in a hidden, unbroken continuum. You leave, but it remains. And so, the forest continues after you leave.